Hello, everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ria. I am a spiritual being just living a human experience. Come on here and I talk about all things traditional values, high value dating, spirituality, entrepreneurship, and my life. If all that sounds fun and dandy to you, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the notification bell. I really just want to come on here and help anyone I can become the most fulfilled, empowered, and bold version of themselves. Today, we are going to be talking about sex, sexual discipline, sex as a Christian, sexualizing your wounds, why kinks and all that stuff may not be stuff that you actually are into, things that you think that you should be into, waiting for marriage, etc., etc. So let's get into the topic. So I personally struggled in the past sexual sin. I think when it comes to the Christian community or what people think Christianity is, a lot of people are like, well, people are gonna have sex anyway. Sex is normal, sex is human nature, sex is beautiful. I agree with all of those things. However, the devil does not create anything new. Whatever he has done is what has already existed, but he turns it into a perverted and weird and dark and, twisted thing. So sex is beautiful. Sex is something that is so powerful. The energy is just so powerful that I can't even put into words how amazing it is that something so beautiful and something so bonding and literally the closest that you will be with anyone else in this world is so powerful that it has the power to literally birth human life. So I think when people who aren't really familiar with Christianity and they're just going off stereotypes, and I'm guilty of this myself, not even just Christianity, but spirituality and purity culture as a whole, I think that they see it as shameful. I'm not speaking for the entire religion. I'm speaking as some extremists or some people who don't have the best approach to this topic. They can make it seem very shameful and like people who don't wait until marriage are going to hell. And by all means, I'm not God. I haven't read the entire Bible yet, so I'm just spewing my thoughts and going to add like little clips of scientific facts and little clips of other people's thoughts, just because it's like if I come on here and I just yap away, what good is that doing to people? I kind of want to hit all different sides and see many different nuances. But anyway, I completely disagree with the idea that sex as a whole is bad and it should be shamed. Even sex before marriage as a whole is bad, should be shamed. And that's just my personal opinion. There is nuance to these things. So when Christians or spiritual or religious people are talking about sexual sin, it's not sex as a whole that's bad, it's the perverted, quote unquote, version of sex, the version that isn't from a spiritual and holy and a beautiful place, the version that comes from a hookup culture, the version that comes from a surface level, one night stand, lack of sexual discipline place. Sex with someone that you love is just so incredibly bonding, and it's an experience that is quite literally unexplainable. And it doesn't even need to be this insane, like, rope choking, like spitting and all kind of stuff sort of thing, because that love and that connection to people being brought together is much more powerful and much more beautiful than anything else may be. And I think that's a good segue into sexualizing our wounds. I used to think that I was into stuff that I, looking back, wasn't into. I think it comes down to the performative nature of hookup culture. We are not seeking true fulfillment with the other person from a place of soul, from a place of worship, from a place of love. We're seeking, honestly, at the end of the day, like our own nut. And then you combine that with how easily accessible it is to access porn, even just access sexually gratifying things. The phone that you're giving your kid, if they have access to TikTok, they have access to Instagram, half of those posts that are going to be recommended to you are going to be soft porn. Unless you've shown the algorithm that you're not interested in those posts, even if you are, you're still going to get that because there's so much content out there that is literally soft porn. This is the first time our brains have ever seen this kind of open sexuality, I guess. Things have never been so easily accessible. In movies, there are so many soft porn scenes, TikToks, and music. There's a lot of sexually suggestive lyrics. And this is stuff that's being played on the radio. So children who aren't even old enough to conceptualize what sex is are being exposed to this. So they don't have the real understanding of what sex is, but they're getting access to all these soft porn, and then they get introduced to actual porn, and before you know it, a child who does not understand what sex is in its full capacity and the beauty of soulful, meaningful sex with someone that you love is being exposed to porn. Now they're addicted to porn, and now they carry on these kinks that they think are their kinks into the real life. They're going into their sexual relationship saying, I like this, I like that. When at the end of the day, like, do you really like that? Or is it what you're conditioned to think that you might like? Is it something that you're doing in a performative manner for the other person? Is it something that you subconsciously convince yourself that you're into because it was so painful in the past, that trauma or whatever the case may be? Your brain wants to sexualize it so that way it doesn't hurt as bad. I used to think that I was into certain things, and now looking back, it's just like, was I into that, or did I want to seem different? Did I want to be like the most attractive one? Was I doing it in a pick me ish nature where I said, oh, I'm into this and I'm into this crazy stuff and I like this and I'm adventurous? Was I doing that because I genuinely felt that way, or was I doing it to please a man? And was I doing it for the male gaze? Because at the end of the day, if someone genuinely loved me and cared for me, vanilla sex, and I hate the concept that vanilla sex is boring because, like, why are we shaming people for not being into violence? It's just, it's beyond me. Also, when someone does not have a sexual discipline, they're watching porn, they have this idea that sex is a very performative thing and it's simply a physical thing and it's literally just for my nut and I don't really care about the other person's pleasure. You can say that you do, but unless there's that like soul, that intention coming from it, it's truly just masturbation with someone else's body. You're doing it to get off. You take that into the bedroom, your sexualized wounds, what you think are your kinks, this quote unquote perverted version of what you were taught sex is because you were exposed to this version of sex from such a young age, or you were exposed to it, or this is the culture that we live in, a very hookup, like me only, instant gratification culture. And you're not fully present. You're not leading with your love. It's not as nurturing or loving. It's more violent. It's more objectifying because you're literally looking at the other person. I'm only using you for your body. When you say that to someone, you're objectifying them and you're also objectifying yourself. There's a lot of emphasis on waiting until marriage, which I think is one of the things that strays people away from Christianity. This might sound weird, but maybe it's one of the things that strayed me away from Christianity when I first believed, because I thought it was such an extremist like religion. Like, it's very black and white, and in a way it is. Like, something's either sin or it's not. But just because we don't like the sin doesn't make it. And it's also just like, I personally did not wait until marriage. That was before I found God, and I realized why it's important to wait. Faith as a whole cannot be just about virginity, but it's about purity, right? And I think that means a lot of different things to many people. So even if you're not a virgin, you can still lead with that love rather than your sexuality. You can still choose to be modest, and that looks different for everyone. I think modesty is about just not leading with your sexuality. Obviously, it's not the 1950s. Like, it's hot, wear shorts. If you're comfortable wearing a tank top, wear a tank top. I also think some, not all, but I think some people put a lot of emphasis on waiting till marriage. And so it kind of subconsciously gives you the idea that you're marrying maybe for the wrong reasons. And this doesn't show up just with waiting until marriage. And I'm not saying everyone who does wait until marriage is marrying for the wrong reasons, but putting a lot of emphasis on, okay, we're gonna get married, and more emphasis on the sex than the actual marriage, lifelong, beautiful commitment to each other and leading with our creator. I think society marries for the wrong reasons, maybe just in the West, everywhere honestly, because we see marriage as like a business contract. It's very transactional. It's combining finances, and that's what it's like on paper. People marry for the wrong reasons. I think that's why the divorce rate is so high. My parents, for example, they married because they felt like they were on a timeline. They saw all of their friends getting married. They felt like they were getting too old and it was getting too late. And I think it was like this fear of dying alone, which is another reason why people marry. At the end of the day, if you have that sexual discipline within yourself, if you're treating your single days as if you were in a relationship, only giving your time and energy to people who are worthy, to people who meet your standards, who people who respect, honor, and show their care for you, to people who regulate your nervous system and not make you more stressed, more anxious, you make your life and essentially worse. If you show that self-respect to yourself and your self-love to yourself during your single days and you're okay with that and you're okay with that solitude, then I think that's the first step to having that translate into a romantic relationship. Not even just a romantic relationship, but like a friendship as well. And that's why I'm such a huge advocate for two things. And you'll notice this as a reoccurring theme in my videos. I'm such a huge advocate for celibacy. Not because celibacy on its own will give you this magic changes in your life. You'll suddenly find the love of your life right after you become celibate, but more so as an opportunity to build that sexual discipline within yourself. Because at the end of the day, I could go and get sex if I wanted to. It's a natural human thing to want sex, but it's not a need. Like, we won't literally die if I don't sleep with anyone at night. You know what I mean? Like, an issue too that you see because people don't practice celibacy, or they don't even, not even celibacy, just like sexual discipline as a whole during their single days. So that leads over into their romantic relationship. That's why you see people cheating under this guise of, oh, I have needs. Like, no, you won't die if you don't have sex. Second thing I advocate for on here is not watching porn. As a woman, as a man, as whoever you are, single, married, in a relationship, even when you're not in a relationship, like in a relationship, it ruins a lot of things for a lot of different reasons. You see your partner as less attractive. It's literally a scientific fact. Even when you're single, it's addictive. You constantly are seeking more and more. It's like a drug, and it's just not good overall to be attached or dependent on anything. That goes hand in hand with what I was talking about earlier with this perverted idea of sex, this perverted idea on what it should look like, a very performative way of showing up in the bedroom of, oh, like, I need to move my body like this, or I need to make these noises for the other person, not because it feels natural and it feels good and that's what I feel led to do, but because that's what I see. And you see these girls and men, of course, acting and just making these like outrageous noises that aren't real and aren't true, and it just sets you up for false expectations and false standards when you have sex with someone in real life. You can say that it doesn't, but you're subconsciously taking in that media and identifying it and compartmentalizing it in your brain as this is what this is. No matter what you say, I know this, they're acting, I know this isn't true. Your subconscious brain does not know what is real and what's not. It only knows what you're giving it. So when you're giving it that, it takes it as real. I think I want to close off by just saying practice sexual discipline if you want someone who won't cheat on you, if you want someone who only lusts after you, if you want to be in your divine feminine or your divine masculine with your partner or alone as a whole, you want to attract a high value person. You want to attract someone who only lusts after you and only has love for you. You want to attract the best sex you've ever had with someone who genuinely loves you and doesn't need all these like whips and toys and crazy things to please you, because the best sex you'll ever have is vanilla sex with the love of your life, and if you have the right intentions behind it. Just try practicing sexual discipline. See how long you can go without getting off. See how long you can go without watching porn. See how long you go without looking at naked Instagram models. And if it sounds easy, just try it, because you may be more dependent than you think. I didn't consider what I had was an addiction, but I found myself doing it at the same time, almost like a routine. And it's like, are you horny, or is this just like a thing you do? Does it just feel good and like, why not? Kind of differentiating the two. And even if you are horny, like sometimes I'll be down bad, but I'll like lie there. I'm just like, will I die right now if I don't have sex? Like, is it really a big deal? And I kind of just bring myself down to center. Like, it's all good. It'll work out in your favor. Practice celibacy if you feel called to. If not, just be intentional with who you give your energy to, because sexual energy is very powerful. If you're a woman, you hold so much power. You are the prize. You hold an immense amount of power. The sperm swims the egg, not the other way around. You are the gatekeeper of the next generation. Quite literally. Your womb is the gatekeeper of the next generation. So be mindful with who you spend your time, energy with. There's a reason why when you spend time and energy and you sleep with someone, that maybe it gives you conviction, or maybe it was not out of love, maybe it was out of lust. There's a reason why you feel a certain type of way after that. There's a reason why your body reacts. Maybe you feel physically ill, maybe you feel anxious, maybe you feel stressed. Your body's giving you a sign. So just lean into that intuition. And I love you all. I'm never coming from a place of shame. I am not claiming to be perfect. I'm not claiming to be God. I'm not claiming to know everything, but I am sharing my experiences, my thoughts. Hopefully, you learned something. I love you all, and I will see you guys in my next episode. I'm trying to post consistently. You want to subscribe, hit the notification bell. I've got all my social medias where I post things like this. I post all things self-development. I just want to help people. I really do. In my life, it feels like I haven't been heard. This is a way that I do that. I am attracting people who feel the same way, and I'm attracting people who choose to learn and choose to love. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I will see you guys in the next episode.